Hey guys, welcome to session 112. We're going to be going over the weekly recap, what happened in the portfolio this past week. We're going to go over some news that happened last week as well. And then we're going to jump into this right here, SPX. Go over to see what's going down with the market today, top five. Stocks that are performing well today, and then the bottom five, and then we'll jump over to finish it off with the news that's going down for this week, guys. So for the past week performance last week, we had a total value of the whole Mogul fellow total value 65,892.34. We had the Mogul 30 here at 27,184.34 registered this weekend, or recorded this weekend, sorry. And then we had market value. We have 13.21 in the market, and then cash. We're sitting on 14,771.13 as of this weekend, guys. Mogul options, we have at 18,611.71. So that is mainly our Nvidia position. We have our long-term Mogul stock portfolio at 16,392.27. And then we have the Mogul crypto pot at $1,794.27. We have the Mogul spending, which we want to jump into and start doing some activities and such with this account. We have it sitting at 1,391.62. And then we got Mogul checking 367.57. This is pending funds. They're going to be shipped off to our crypto portfolio, and then also to save for taxes, guys. So for the performance in the trading portfolios, we're going to go over right now. Last week in the Mogul 30 portfolio, we had capital freed, meaning we sold some stocks, and then we used that capital. We put that capital back into cash reserves that we used, and then we take the profit and then distribute it to our long-term stuff. So capital freed was $3,800, $3,840.52. Capital deployed, guys, the capital we put into the market was $975. We took a step back on our daily buys. We are still doing $25 daily buys up to 10 stocks a day, depending on the opportunities. And so the weekly profit last week was $218.12, and that is a 5.68% return. If you divide the $218.12 to the $3,840.52 that we used to make that profit. So that was the Mogul 30, profiting $218.12 last week. And for Mogul options, the Mogul options account, we did a cover call last Monday, expired worthless this Friday, and so we get to keep our 100 shares. We did one today, and that'll be talked about next week in next week's session. But we profited 115.98 premium on that cover call last week, and it did not get assigned, so we get to keep our shares. So total profit for both the trading portfolios is $334.10. That's how much we made in the trading portfolios last week, guys. So moving on now to the catalysts last week. So I'm going to read these off. We had SPY falling to start off December, but then it rebounded. We had Bitcoin dropping below 90K again. We have 87% chance Federal Reserve will cut rates this coming week, or this week. Trump says they have a Fed chair down to one person. They think that one person is Kevin Hassett, guys. We have labor market shows mixed signals, but good enough to still cut, guys. So that is important. We, obviously we have seeing, mixed signals with, the labor market. And then we have inflation coming in really good, as the next one is PC came in at 2.8 versus 2.9, unexpected, guys. And then we had Netflix and Warner Brothers. Netflix really trying to acquire Warner Brothers, but today we have obviously the Paramount coming out with a better deal. So we'll see what happens with that, guys. So that is pretty much the weekly overview last week, and then the news that happened last week. So now let's dive into, looks like I have got to bring this back up, guys. Got to float this here. But we have SPX right here at a 68.4651 range here. We have it, really this last I don't know if I would call it a correction, but I think it was like a 5% little correction that we had, and officially a correction is 10% off the highs of S&P 500. But we see it coming down below that 200-day moving average and then ripping back up here, a little bounce, and now we're seeing it come down. I think that's due to people getting jitters with this Federal Reserve meeting on Wednesday. We have it at 56 RSI level, and this is the 4-hour chart that we are looking at, guys, for SPX. So that is the current status of the S&P 500. We'll see what happens after the market. We could see, if they do a cut, it could already be priced in, guys. There's 87% chance of it cutting. I don't know if that's changed, but that the Federal Reserve is going to cut this coming week, and so if they don't cut, we could see this market really come back down even lower. So that is SPX and market sentiment and what's going on. People getting really nervous for Wednesday, and it's very choppy, especially in today's market. So we'll see. We'll read some more news. But so the top 5, guys, we have Rocket Lab really leading. We are not in Rocket Lab right now, but it's up 5.90%, really coming back up to this 200-day moving average at a 79 RSI level. So we got Rocket Lab really ripping. BMNR has actually been doing pretty well after its sell-off. So we'll see what continues to happen. This is a really ugly chart, but we have it really coming down to a low of around 20, looks like $23 there, and now it's trying to come back up to its 200-day moving average there at a 59 RSI level. We have DraftKings, really coming up 4.50%, and look at this, really skyrocketing, not skyrocketing, but like coming above that 200-day moving average with this 50-day really crossing it pretty well, and we have that at a 66 RSI level. There we have Nvidia, actually there was just news. I'm sure we're probably gonna read it. If not, then I'll we have it that China, they're gonna start selling the H200s to China. That is the news that came out today. So Nvidia is really popping here, back up to this 200-day moving average there at the 188 level. It's right above that, guys, 189.45 there. And then the last one, guys, that we're going to talk about that reached top 5 is Robinhood at a 3.43% today. We have that 50-day really coming back up to the 200-day moving average there at the 130 level. We have it crossing the price at a 136.47 current market there. So that is the top 5. Now let's look at the bottom 5. We have Nike really down a 3.52% here at a 27 RSI level there, below the 200-day moving average. We have Procter and Gamble down 3.51%. Look at that drop, guys. This is an ugly chart the last few months, but we see it really coming down to this 138.42 level here and a 12 RSI, which since June, that is the lowest we've ever seen it on the RSI. Netflix, guys, obviously that's been in the news recently with the Warner Brothers deal. Hopefully we'll see if Netflix can get this deal done. Otherwise, I think Paramount is going to come away with the Warner Brothers. And so we have it down 3.43% at a 22 RSI level there, guys. 95.30. That's crazy seeing Netflix. Obviously, before their stock split, we saw in the $1,000 range, but now since their stock split, we are seeing it under $100, guys, at 96.79, and pretty, that's the lowest it's ever been. So you guys tell me if this is a buying opportunity for Netflix. We see Tesla down to 3.37% here, and we can see it coming down. We saw a little run. Obviously the government is taking robotics a little bit more seriously, so we saw that this little run, and we see it at 457 there with a high of 479. We just cannot break that. We got close right here, getting close up here too, but really hitting back down to coming back down to this 200-day moving average, with this 50-day trying to stay above it. So we'll see what happens with Tesla. And then we got CoreWeave, guys, down 3.10%. We see it really coming down here to oversold levels down here, trying to make a run back up to the 200-day at $85. Got the 200-day at 97. So that is the top 5 and a bottom 5 stocks for today, Monday, December 8th. So now let's go over, now let's talk about what's going on, news-wise today. So let's go ahead and read this. And this is CNBC live updates. So S&P 500 closes lower as investors tap brakes before Fed decision this week. So S&P 500 pulled back on Monday today as investors await the Federal Reserve's last meeting of the year later this week. The broad market index fell 0.35, NASDAQ fell 0.14, and then the Dow Jones shed at 0.45, guys. Weighing on, we were just talking about this, guys, but here's a different, talking a little bit different here. Weighing on stock sentiment was the 10-year Treasury yield continuing its recent run higher. The benchmark has moved up this month despite the likelihood that the Fed is going to cut this week, as investors worried about the state of inflation in the new year and whether the central bank will be able to continue their easing. As we saw the quantitative tightening stop on December 1st. Now they are starting to ease. What else do we got? Traders have grown increasingly hopeful over recent weeks that the Fed will lower interest rates once again after it issued a quarter percentage point cut, 25 bips, at its meeting in September and October. According to CME's Fed Watch tool, Fed Run funds futures are pricing in roughly 89. So it went up, guys. 89% chance of a decrease, up from under 67% a month ago. So it did go down. It was high and then it went down, and now it's back up to now an 89% chance that they cut. The increasing optimism has recently been reflected in stocks which scored their second positive week in a row. S&P 500, NASDAQ also notched 4-day winning streaks on Friday, while the Dow saw its third positive session in 4. Stocks received a boost that day following the delayed release of softer than expected September core personal consumption expenditures, the PCE. Price index data, one of the last major economic releases ahead of the Fed's upcoming policy meeting. So, Federal Reserve looks at PCE. That's their main gauge to be able to see what they want to do. They obviously look at other data too, but that's like their main gauge that they look at. What else do we have here? Bunch of quotes. Not going to get into those. But here's another. During Monday's session, technology was a strong spot with Broadcom shares jumping almost 3%, hit a new record high on the heels of the information reporting that Microsoft is discussing designing custom chips with the chip maker. So that's kind of big news for Broadcom. We have Confluent shares surging 29 after IBM said that it's going to acquire the company in an $11 billion deal. which is expected to close by middle of 2026. With Oracle shares increased more than 1% amid investor optimism ahead of the company's quarterly results on Wednesday, guys. So that pretty much is, what's going on, today in CNBC Live updates. We obviously, had a pretty profitable week last week, profiting around $334.10 in the trading portfolios that'll be dispersed accordingly to our long-term stuff. We went over the past week news, and we also went over the top 5 and bottom 5 stocks for today, and then we went over the news for this week, which we are really everyone's watching this Federal Reserve meeting, and until then the market is going to be very choppy, guys. So it's choppy every single time we reach a Fed meeting, because you don't know what the Fed's going to do, guys. So I mean, there's an 89% chance that the Fed's going to cut rates, so that could already be priced into the market. If that 11% happens, if the Fed doesn't cut rates, we could see another correction. We could see the market sell off. We could see crypto lead the losses there. But we'll see what happens, guys. There's an 89% chance that the Fed cuts this Wednesday. So what do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think about Federal Reserve cutting. Is it smart? Obviously, they're trying to lower rates, get people to spend more, get companies to start borrowing for cheaper, stuff like that, guys. Trying to get this economy back and going strong, but we got to watch for inflation. We got to watch that inflation doesn't tick back higher, guys. So that is pretty much what's going on for this week. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to get into the Discord, guys, go over to mogulfellows.com. You could, get into the Discord. I believe it's $2.99 a week right now, $99 for lifetime access, guys. That's cheap right now. It's going to be going up as we get the Discord more valuable and start pumping in more content in there for you guys. Pretty much you get to access to everything. Our Mogul 30 trading portfolio. You get buy alerts, sell alerts. You get our Mogul options alerts, so you get to see what we do with options, cover calls, cash secured puts, stuff like that, and then you get to see what we're investing in for the long term, guys, and just being a part of like-minded individuals over there with stocks, guys. So if you guys want to be a part of that, go over to mogulfellows.com and get into the Discord. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit the outro.